Hey, what's happening, Roland? Well, today's Friday. Today's time for the update. Now, last week I talked all about how I rigged up my boat and my YouTube filming, how I had it on a tripod. Well, this is my new heritage boat. Okay, now I got a kind of different system here. This is where I put the GoPro now. I put it on that stick, and that's all adjustable. And what I have also for night fishing and late in the evening, I have this YoPro light. And so what this light is right here. I'll turn the light on. Look at that. Now that doesn't look like much, but that's bright. That's 20 LED lights that light this boat up at night. Now, you'd say, well, I don't do much night fishing. Well, I'm going to start doing some night fishing. My good partner, Gerry Brousseau, and I, we have a bunch of buzz baits. We got a bunch of musky jitterbugs, and we got a bunch of really neat night fishing stuff, and we're going to start doing a little bit of night fishing. Well, speaking of night fishing, let me just show you something. You know, when I was 15 years old, I used to trap muskrats, and I had this magazine called Fur Fish and Game. And in the back of the magazine, for $1, you could send off for the most secret way of catching big giant bass. And it intrigued me. Now, $1 back then, 65 years ago, was a lot of money. And so I finally came up with $1. $1 then was worth $30, what it is to the kids today. But anyway, it was a lot of money for me then. And what came back in the mail was this system right here. This is a jigger pole system. Now, let me just tell you what it is. This is for night fishing, particularly. This is a 14-foot Calcutta pole. Now, I couldn't find the one-piece poles. This is actually a 3-piece pole, but look at the end of it. I'm going to just show you something. This is for catching big giant bass at night. That's all you have. No rod and reel. It's just a cane pole with 130 pounds. Each of those strands are 130-pound test line. And that's a great big giant hook. And sometimes I use a pork chunk, but this actually, I was kind of fooling around with it today, and I put this 4.5 Yamamoto on there. I went through some lily pads. I had a 3-pounder to hit that thing. But anyway, the thing is, what this is at night, and what that whole big deal was at Fur Fish and Game some 65 years ago, was they were talking about this system. And this is the jigger pole system. Now, what the jigger pole system is for night fishing is really, really something. Okay, look at this. I'm gonna put this rod out and pretend this is water out here. And I can go like this and see how that rod tip, the rod tip is hitting the water. If that would be the water, and say this is a big cypress tree under the boat. Say that's a big cypress tree under the boat. Okay, I just hit the rod tip on the water, and this lure is right behind it, and it's making a splash. This rod tip is splashing in the water the whole time. It's just splashing, splashing, splashing. And this lure, whatever lure you have, which is a big treble hook lure, a big bait like this, or possibly a big pork rind bait, it could be about any kind of bait. It's only on about 6 inches of line. And that rod tip is just hitting the water right there in front of it. And these monster bass. Now this is something. You might say, well, gosh, Roland, have you caught many fish on it? Well, yeah. I came to Florida with George Smith a couple years ago, and we caught a 12-pound bass on this very same setup right here. That's here in Florida. When I guided at Santee Cooper years ago, 30 years ago, I went out at night for a couple years, and I caught like 30 or 40 big bass. Some of them were 7 and 8, 9, and even 10 pounds. But the thing at Santee was so cool, I'd use these jigger poles like this, and I'd go up down the diversion canal. There's striped bass in there. There's 25-pound striped bass. Now, can you imagine a 25-pound striped bass hitting this cane pole at night, and that's all you got? I mean, you'd break the rod. Everything it was just pandemonium. It was just total disaster. But we caught a few of them. Some of those big striped bass. We caught them nevertheless. But anyway, that's the kind of thing we did. But here's the whole deal about jigger pole fishing at night. I never caught any little bass. It was always the big ones. I didn't catch many, maybe fish all night for 3 or 4 or 5 hours and only catch 2 bass, but they'll all be great big fish. They, 5 to 10 pound fish, just great big things. Okay, so that's one of the things I'm going to do at night. Now, the other thing I'm going to do at night is I have some big musky jitterbugs. I want to just show you right back here in the back. I just want to show you real quick. In the back here, kind of hard to see, I have a couple of my night fishing deals. I'm going to come right back out and show you. What this is for night fishing again with Gerry. We're going to go to Kissimmee. We're going to go to Okeechobee. We're going to go to the Stick Marsh. We're going to go to a lot of different places. And we're going to fish night fishing. Now here's one of my mainstays of night fishing. It's a musky jitterbug. You notice what I've done here? I've caught a couple 10-pounders on this, by the way. This is a musky jitterbug. Look at the bottom hook is cut off right here. And the side hooks are held in position and up with a rubber band. So now I can take this thing here, which normally has 3 big treble hooks. It's a 65-pound braid. I can throw it across the lily pads, and it'll just walk across all that stuff out there and just wobble along. It'll come right through the thickest lily pads, the thickest hydrilla, the thickest everything. When those great big bass bite this thing at night, you got them. Heavy line, 65-pound braid. This is the deal. Okay, that's one thing. Here's another deal. Another deal for night fishing. A giant buzzbait. Look at this buzzbait. It's kind of one I've made up special. Let me explain. I've put a bigger blade on there, and I painted it black, because the black, when you look up at night in the sky, there's not much light, but the black stands out better than any other color. So black colors at night are actually good for topwater lures. Now this has a double buzz in the back. It's a big half-ounce, big heavy-duty spinnerbait, or a buzzbait rather. 65-pound braid again, a big trailer hook, and I just happened to put a Yamamoto 4.5 on there. I'll try different trailers, but that thing will really buzz and make a lot of noise coming across the thing at night. Now, what's the purpose of all this? I can go out in the daytime and catch big fish, but I can go out at night and catch even bigger fish. Now, you don't catch many, and it's a hard deal. The mosquitoes are eating you up. You have to watch out for the alligators. The alligators will hear the noise of that big buzzbait. They'll hear the noise of that big jigger pole, and they'll come and hit it, and then you'll lose your daggone lure, because a big old 500-pound alligator takes all your stuff. So you got to watch out for that. So you don't want to do that. But anyway, that's kind of what's happening in my world right now. I'm just getting ready for some serious night fishing, and I'm also getting ready for a real special trip with Jimmy Houston and Mike Iconelli next week. In fact, Sunday morning, this is Friday right now. Sunday morning, I'm leaving for New York, and we're going to go up on the Saint Laurence River, and we're going to hunt turkeys. We're going to catch smallmouth bass. We're going to catch largemouth. We're going to catch walleye. We're going to have a wonderful time up on the Indian reservation on the Saint Laurence River. So we're going to have a really good time. We're going to be up there for the whole week. So that's what's happening in my world, folks. Hey, listen, I really appreciate you watching. Oh, by the way, I went out today and I took my little heritage boat out on one of my local lakes, and we used a bunch of topwater plugs. And I did fair. I started off with the big devil's horse, and that's early in the morning. It was kind of cloudy and rainy. Caught a couple, pound-and-a-half fish, but I always have the backup. Every time I'd miss a fish with the topwater, I'd throw that old Cinco in there. Look at that. Hey, there's nothing better than to have a Cinco ready. Have it right there on the front of the boat, just ready to cast. I also threw the old whopper plopper. Now you know how that is. I love whopper ploppers. That's that 110 series whopper plopper. Hey, that's kind of my favorite lure. It's kind of taken over to my buzzbait deal. It's not very weedless, and the lake today had a lot of lily pads, but you could kind of pick your spots, and that really catches some nice bass. So I love topwater fishing. That visual action is something. But when I hit the real heavy cover, when I hit those big heavy lily pads like I had today, I take the frog and throw it in the really thick places. And that's the Bronzeye 65. Of all the frogs, this is the most weedless of them all. the Bronzeye 65. This is Dean Rojas's creation, and about 20 years ago he came up with it. I fished twice with Dean. We've been out in Clear Lake in California and also on Lake Okeechobee. We've done really some comprehensive frog fishing. He's shown me a lot about how to catch fish. And you know, if you do the frog fishing just right, you'll get almost all the bass that bite. So that's just, you know, one of the things that I do. Well, anyway, I had a good time today. I'm getting ready for my big trip up on the Hudson, well, not the Hudson River, but the Saint Laurence River with Jimmy and Mike Iconelli. Hey, it's going to be a good trip. Hey, thanks for watching. Night fishing's coming up as well. We'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching. Hit that likes button.